First of all, I would like to thank you for inviting me to this very important and interesting conference. And this session that we are going to discuss about the energy and the environment touches upon all the sectors of this conference. So, something that we can all understand is that the great problem of our era is climate crisis. We experience it on an everyday basis, not only in Greece but also abroad. We had the mega fires 2 years ago, but also the previous years, more intense compared to what has been happening maybe the previous 10 years. We also see great floods. We experience big floods. And of course, this affects citizens' everyday lives, and they also have not only environmental but also social and economic consequences. So, after this session, I am going to Egypt to participate at the COP27, the International Conference on Climate, since it is evident that only with international agreement we could reduce emissions. In Greece, a lot of steps forward have been made since it is the central policy of the government, the tackling climate changes and environment. Moreover, the Prime Minister himself from day one worked very hard towards this direction. And for the first time in Greece, there is a national climate law. We are amongst the first group of countries that has such a law for decarbonization, for climate neutrality until 2050, and for an intermediate goal in 2030 to reduce by 50%, which means that our national plan for energy and climate will be reviewed based on specific policies that will lead us to this goal. I know that the distinguished speakers are going to discuss that, to change the energy mix and to reach the adoption of renewable energy sources leaving behind traditional fuels. Nevertheless, since I am here today as Secretary General of Forests, let me say that forests may play a very important role, a crucial role in reducing emissions. Between forests, they help into reducing the CO footprint and also the pollutants that are related to climate change. But on the other hand, the climate law mentions specifically the forests, and according to this law, one could compensate the emissions. I am talking about non-ECTS formal system, the non-formal system that will allow companies to compensate their emissions with forestations and reforestations. This is the first step, and the other step is the fact that forests can help us to adapt to climate change. Before talking about our policies, I would like to say that when it comes to circular economy, which is at the epicenter of environmental policy, that we have a roadmap for circular economy, a 3-year roadmap that is aligned with the European roadmap for the circular economy. This roadmap includes 72 goals in specific areas for sustainable production, sustainable consumption, waste management, and generally our goal is to reform our economy and go towards circularity. This is the big stake, and this is why from the National Strategic Reference Framework has given us 700 million euros that will help businesses and all stakeholders to adapt and to try to change our economy and go towards a circular economy. Now let's discuss the forests. There is a General Secretary of Forests. And this is a reformation that started from Kyriakos Mitsotakis, our Prime Minister himself, and from the beginning of 2022 there is a General Directorate of Forests that includes the management of the Forest Department. So there is a new verticalized structure that can decide on the forest policies, and our first priority is, of course, prevention. This year, for the first time, we have conducted prevention projects. We tried to clean forests, and I'm talking about 100,000 stremas, and we tried to open forest roads, and we also tried to do fire zones in Greece with a budget of 70 million euros that was funded by the Recovery Fund, but also by the state budget. For the first time, something similar happened, and the previous years, the budget, the relevant budget was 7 or 8 million. So you understand that there is this huge investment with projects that moved forward very quickly and contributed to avoid having this last summer negative consequences from fires. Nevertheless, the reforestation after the natural disasters or other measures, we have a new framework that allows us to make anti-flood and anti-erosion projects, works that we have done during the previous year in Evia, where we had the consequences from the mega fires, and it was finished in a record time, anti-flood and anti-erosion works projects that they are going to protect us from the huge rainfalls that are expected due to the climate crisis, as mentioned in the beginning. For the first time, there is a national reforestation plan that is funded by the Recovery Fund of 200 million euros. This is a huge project, a huge area of 170,000 stremas for the first time are going to be reforested during the next 3 years. This is already planned, and we have secured funding, and now we are going to start the first pilot reforestations within November. We should also mention that it is not possible to achieve our goals, not only when it comes to forests, but also our general goals, if we are not going to adapt new innovative cutting-edge technologies, which means that we should have the ministries interconnected, as well as all the organizations connected with the academia, with universities, with research organizations, but also companies, businesses that offer innovative solutions, and to include them in our policies on environmental protection. I'm going to mention an example on forests. We focus on the so-called smart sustainable forest. We want to include innovative technologies in the various activities related to the forest ecosystem management, but also to prevention, but also to the restoration of the forests. As you may well know, technology allows us to have real-time satellite images using drones, using sensors, using cameras, thermal and optic cameras that allow us to monitor a forest area and to be aware of all the environmental conditions at every point within the forest. So the forest managers will be able to monitor forests using modern technologies that have already planned to be introduced in these new policies. Since this conference is related, I would like to mention circular economy. We have the circular economy roadmap in place, which dictates that the same or more products should be produced in order to cover our consumer needs, but on the other hand, to produce less waste or to reach the zero waste society, so to say. So waste should be used as a raw material, and of course, that will allow us to save raw material and save energy, of course. Energy should not be forgotten within this life cycle, and of course, that will allow us to reduce costs, but also to make our economy and our industry competitive. This roadmap is in place, as I have told you, and especially when it comes to agri-food businesses, the principle of circular economy can help those businesses reduce the water that they use, for example. Through recycling and reusing, a business may save a lot of energy, save a lot of water. On the other hand, one can utilize biomass and agri-waste, and our priority is also one of biomass, I apologize, is also one of our priorities, since biomass can be used not only as a fuel, but also as an alternative fuel, as I have told you, but on the other hand, in various processes that for energy production, and that energy can be used by various businesses to cover their needs. Nevertheless, bioeconomy is a new sector. We have a lot of new developments, and this is why I have mentioned innovation. And biomass can also be used for producing bioethanol in bioreactors, and therefore save energy. And of course, that way we can reach our goal to change economy as a whole, not only the agri-food economy, but also other sectors of the Greek economy towards this new circular standard that will allow us to minimize the use of raw material, of resources, and become more competitive, but at the same time we will be able to use clean energy through renewables or through other forms with the help of technology. So we're going to save energy and use that energy throughout the whole chain, from mining to processing and production and consuming. And last but not least, we should focus on awareness raising and education of all the stakeholders on those issues that we discuss here today. It is very important to put emphasis on awareness raising amongst the citizens, but also informing the industry and all economic stakeholders. And of course, we should support them with financial means, funding tools. And I want to stress that we have a lot of funding available that can help us towards this transformation of the Greek economy with the new standards, in order to have competitive advantage also in the energy sector, but at the same time being leaders in protecting the environment. Thank you very much.